So let us pray. Dear holy and precious God, I ask you now to take this cracked pot. I need you, dear Lord, if it be your will, to fill me with your wisdom, my tongue with your truth, my mind and heart with your compassion, so that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart will be acceptable in thy sight. Because, Lord, you are my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. I want to talk to you just for a few minutes. Renee, you knew I was going to get it wrong if I sent you what I thought the title of the sermon was going to be. Because I don't do titles. Because I don't want people running out of church saying, oh, no, she wrecked it today or she blew it today on one title. It's not about titles. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about finding your strength. You know, it's very easy for us to say we can do all things through Christ, who strengthens us. It's a lot more difficult to do. As a matter of fact, it's an absolute exhausting prospect if you think about it. Let's just take, for example, the simple things that we're supposed to do, praise God. You know, we started out the year already, and some of us are in, week 2 of the resolution that we'll probably give up in another week. We started out, saying that we're going to be strong, we're going to do the right thing, we're going to get this thing together. And I'm thinking that over the course of time that maybe this resolution thing is losing its power. People don't talk about it as much like they used to have a list of resolutions. I don't know if maybe you have decided to step into a level of authenticity you didn't have before, or you just know that you don't want to be embarrassed in a couple of weeks when none of that happens. I'm not quite sure of how that would work, but I do know that the number one resolution for the last 10 years has been, I'm going to eat better. Now, number 2 is I'm going to exercise. Number 3 gets I'm going to save money. So let's see. That means no candy bars, working out at the gym, and actually saving and not spending money. That's just not what our environment, not what our society expects of us. But God expects something different from us. He says it's okay if you fall out. I'll be right there to pick you up. I can tell you these things about resolutions and strength in particular, and I want to talk a little bit about finding our strength. We need to find our strength. Where did your strength come from? You start Googling it for my young folks and my college students. You start Googling strength. I can tell you it's a struggle. My brother-in-law was formerly the strength and conditioning coach for the Miami Dolphins, and I used to always get in his grits because he would come to town and, I'm a woman of a particular age, of a particular size, and I sure didn't need this little thundercat to tell me what I needed to do. He would share, and we'd go to the gym, and he would you need to do this. I said, I'm not trying out for the Dolphins. I'm just trying to slim down. And he had a 10-step program that was guaranteed to work. If you just do this, you could get it together. 10 steps. It could make it work. And I said, oh, okay, well, this is all good and it's all fine. So it started out. I said, I'll make sure I get them right because I don't want to mess up. They'll probably come and get me. I said, first of all, you got to be consistent with there's just 4 basic moves in strength. The squats, the bench presses, and there's a couple of them, your weight things. And then you have to do them in low repetition. You don't do them like you do if you're trying to be lean. You only do instead of doing 20 squats, like I need to do to kind of firm up the area that my mother blessed me with. I only need to do 5 to really strengthen it for the endurance. And so he said you should do a low amount of reps, do them consistently. Then you need to make sure that you rest in between the reps. You need to eat right, make sure that you're intaking it. Keep a record of it so you could just add to it slowly. None of this stuff is what we do, right? None of this stuff, you do it 3 times and it doesn't work. So he had these 10 steps. He had all of the things that I needed to do. And then he says, okay, so I want to make sure that you got this plan. Don't forget. You got to make sure that your form is right, because if you don't do that, that'll really mess you up. And then you got to warm up. That wasn't a warm up. You warm up, but then you know it's amazing. You had cardio work to get it all in balance. It was just a bunch of stuff. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And this is why people don't follow through on it. You know, I mean, come on, let's be realistic. You go to the gym and you lift a couple of little weights or you run a little bit, you feel a little twinge. That's it. The trip is over. You have goal accomplished. Check. You know, that's all you have to do. But when you make a commitment to God to get stronger, it takes a little more. You got to press a little harder. And you don't need 10 steps. This is what I keep on telling them. I said, you know, that's all fine if I wanted to be a Miami Dolphin. Iffy. But if I want to find my strength in the Lord, Paul gives us a recipe right here on how to work it out. He says if you want to strengthen your commitment to God, to have your faith in God, if you want to make sure that you have your assurance in God, it really is not a basic little recipe you do. But there are some hints to help you get there. Because you cannot do anything in Christ if you get weary of well doing. You know, our strength is sometimes tough too because it's not always reflected. And you know, when you see somebody who's strong, they kind of look a particular way, kind of muscle bound, but you know they have that strength. And it's that one time they do something incredible that you actually notice it. So strength has a way to have a visual illusion where you can't even see it sometimes because it really doesn't show up until you need it. But you need to know how to develop it so it's there when it comes time to call. Now, I will tell you this because God has a tendency to give everybody a bus pass. He gives everybody a bus pass and he will send you to a stop. Now, that's not for you to get on the bus, but that's for somebody else to get on the bus. But you need to be at the stop to make sure that person gets on so their journey is continuous. See, this isn't about us. If we do everything right, somebody else gets blessed. Amen. And our credit is already put in the bank of heaven if we get this thing right. But you got to have strength to do that. That's not every day I want to do that because that's not how we function. If we're in a me, narcissistic world, you know, we're down here where Agent Orange talks about himself so much that we don't even realize that there's anybody else in the world. So, you know, we get caught up in that too. Well, it can't be about him. It got to be about me. Because when we start talking about how crazy somebody else is, that means we have an understanding of our crazy. See, you can't go ahead and call somebody what you're not aware of. But I'm not here to talk about that. You all got a special program for that another day. I'm here to talk about how you can find your strength, and Paul makes it real clear. So the first thing you have to do is be consistent. Oh, boy, that's a tough one. You know, if we were intentional about things, we would not have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff. You know, if we were intentional about telling our young people how bright and brilliant they are, instead of how destructive and demonic they can be, we'd be in good shape. You know, if we would tell our seniors how rich their experience was, and instead of telling them you're too old and tired, I don't want to drag you around no more. Ooh, my goodness, if we were consistent with our stuff. You know, we don't have to worry about being consistent with diets and hairdos and stuff. I laughed when you look at television shows and even the old school cartoons. This is the Fred Flintstone in it. Betty and Wilma got up every day. They didn't worry about their hairstyle. It was the same style. Consistent when they weren't going through the show. You know, and there was one episode in the Flintstones I remember well. Wilma went out, got her hair all done. A car came by, that thing snapped right back into shape. There was a consistency about it. And it's important because when you do something consistently, when your prayer life is consistent, when your worship is consistent, when you connect with people consistently, there is a presence of the God in the place. Let me tell you a story about a young man. He was around 10 years old and he was in a horrific car accident. And he lost a limb, he lost his left arm. But he was determined to be a judo expert. He so wanted to be a judo expert, and he finally found a way to become one. He went up to one of the masters of the Japanese art, and he said, please take me. And the sensei said, I will take you. And so the young man started the lessons, and after 3 months, he had only learned one move. And he got the courage enough to ask his sensei, he says, well, why do I only know one move? He says, it's the only move I know, and it's the only move you'll need. So he kept on practicing day after day. He kept on coming, and he kept on doing it. And then he discovered it was time for him to go to a match. And he went to the match, and the sensei sent him out, and he did his move. And the first 2 guys, he won, no problem. The third guy got angry and took this full strength and came at the guy. And he still won the match. Now when it came down for the final match, it was uneven. His opposition was big. As a matter of fact, the referee says, I don't know if this is going to work out. But he says, I'm going to give it a shot. And he fought, and he fought, and he made it to the final round. And he became the champ. And so people said, well, how in the world did you do this? This little boy with one arm, how did you do this? With one move. With just one move. And so the little boy didn't have any answers. He just did what he was told to do. So he went to his master. He says, Sensei, how did I do that? With just one move. He says, first I want you to know you learned the most difficult move in judo. And the only way to break the hold is to remove your left arm, to grip your left arm to get you out of the hook. And this boy didn't have a left arm, so no matter what you do, no matter what you do, if you're consistent with it, your victory is on the way. Yes. If you stick with it, if it's just one thing that you got left, you should do it. Because your victory is on the way. Do you think God didn't know what he was doing when he slowed you down, when he put a little off in your hip? He knew what he was doing. He needed you to go and have a conversation with a doctor or somebody so that you could hand off the bus pass to him and say, I'm here to bless you today. That one move. Sometimes that one move is just pray. I know how to pray. But Lord, I want to sing. I have a young lady in my church, she wants to sing so bad, and boy, if a note was standing as close as this microphone, she couldn't hit it. But in her heart, that's what she wants to do, but she can pray. Ooh, she's got a faith that can move a mountain, and she's got a prayer that just breaks through all boundaries. Sometimes we have to know what we've got, and we've got to work that thing consistently until we can't work it anymore. We've got to stop thinking we need everything and just master the one thing that God gave us. If you do that over a course of time, you know the story of the man that pushed the rock. All he did was push the rock, and then all of the muscles developed. If we push our personal rock, our rock of prayer, the rock of our salvation, we keep on pushing it, we'll have a chance. Now, so consistency is what we need to make sure that we get our strength together in the Lord. Now, the next thing we have to do is be content. I didn't mean to cuss. We live in an age now where being content just isn't what we do. If we're not busy, we're not moving. If we're not not busy, we're not important. If we're not busy, we're not working. Busy, 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 busy. We spend so much time, even the bees are dropping dead because y'all took the buzz away. But what are we doing? Are we doing the work that's necessary for the Lord? Are we really strengthening our faith? Are we really getting it together? Paul is talking to us and sending out a thank you note to his church over in Philippi. Well, he's in jail. He's locked up. He's in a Roman jail, sending a letter to the Philippians saying, thank you for what you've done. It says early on, it says, thank you. I know you wanted to do more, but you couldn't. But now that you can, don't worry about it. Because whether I get everything or I don't have anything, I'm okay. We just came off of a season. If we didn't get everything, it was going to be a problem. We didn't get anything, that was going to be a problem. See, they're not talking in antiquity about all of the stuff that we in Western world think about. They're not talking about the cars and the house and the right relationship. He's talking about if I could just have enough to get by, I'm okay. But even more importantly, it doesn't matter what I've got because God got it anyway. And if God doesn't give it to me, I don't need it. And no matter what situation I'm in, God's got me. Don't you want to have that kind of God's got me situation where no matter what situation you're in, when the children don't act right, when the bills don't get paid, you say, I'm good. Pastor, I'm just calling to let you know that this is what's going on. You don't have to do nothing. God's got me. Oh, Jesus, when you want to get that, I'm going to come over here as recruiting. But the reality is that we have a difficult time with that. I love this part because when he talks about just sitting around and saying, I'm content, locked up, probably better than most. Because now I'm in a situation where I can be grateful for what God is doing for me because it's not me. Paul was the one that says, when I'm weak, I'm strong. Don't let this thorn go away because that's the sign of my strength. We look at our stuff and say, oh, start breaking down. But Paul says that if we start shutting ourselves down, that's when God gets to start stepping up. If we stop telling people, y'all need to be in the church and start acting like the church, folk will come to church. If we stop telling people, you need to love the Lord your God, you need to stop doing this, and we start acting, it'll make a difference in people's lives. See, to be content is an understanding of self. We have a self-awareness and we're comfortable with it. We're not complacent. We're content. To be complacent means that you all this self stuff, you're self-satisfied. I got what I want, I got my house, I got my car, I got my man, I got my money. You know, it's all good. You know, it's the stuff that we hear about in the songs that we dance to. You know. But the reality is, when we are content, it has a whole nother aura about it. It settled us down into the quietness of Christ. It allows him to move in our lives and pop up and show up, even on our most stressful times. You know, when the test papers went out and you're not sure what's going to come back. When the bill went out and you just trying to hope it doesn't get to the bank before that check gets to the bank. You know, all of those things happen. But God knows. And if we start walking around, it takes strength to say, okay, I'm good. I'm good. So we have to work that out, that contentment and that consistency. And then finally, we have to have the confidence that God is going to work it out. If you don't have any confidence that God is going to do anything, then you are doing a great job of adding fabulous decorations to the church. But you are doing absolutely nothing for the kingdom of Christ. If you don't have confidence that God is God and God is God all by himself, that he don't need you for nothing but praise, then we're in trouble. Because see, we're really just the creatures of God. We're not in control of anything. We hear too much about control. There's too many things that we're missing. I hear too much, even from my mom. She tells me how things used to be and the way things were supposed to be and why aren't we doing what we need to do? Because times change. And if we didn't get caught up on that moment, we can't worry about that. We just have to have confidence that what we do know is going to move us to the next level. So we have the consistency and we have the contentment and we have the confidence that we can move forward and have the strength that we need in Christ. Because that's what it takes. That's the workout. We need to have the confidence that Abraham had when he went ahead and took Isaac up a mountain. We need to have some confidence, you know, like Esther had when she went to the king. We need to have some confidence, like Daniel and the lions did. We need to have some confidence that Jesus had when he went to the cross. We need to understand we have to have the confidence that God has in us to do his work here on earth. If we don't have any confidence, then we're missing out on something great and grand. This year, with all of the stuff that we have ahead of us, we have political things and we have the census and the election, and we have potential war, we have global warming. I mean, you can get dizzy. We've got gentrification right around here that will just choke a bear. We are becoming a part of an extinct group. And see, we don't want to use those terms because they're too harsh. But this is a genocide that is taking place. It's not gentrification. We need to understand there's a genocide where only resources go to one side and they push it down. We need to understand what's happening here. And then we need to shore ourselves up and not get too comfortable in our personal pew that we can't go out and make a difference in this community. We have to have the bold courage to say, it's not enough just to sit here and be Holy Ghost filled and fire baptized if it burns out when you hit the door. If it is doused in the water of this wicked world, then was it really ignited by the fire of God? We have to understand that we find our strength in God and God alone. He is waiting for us. He wants us to tap into that resource because we are stronger than our excuses. And we've got plenty of them. There's reasons why we don't do. I share with clergy on a regular basis. I've got numbers. I know my numbers. I'm a marketing person. But I know my numbers because we live in a world of spots and dots. I know the number of people that are going to come to church 3 times a month. I know the ones that are going to come twice a week. That's once for Bible study and once for worship. I know the ones that are going to come once a month for communion. I know the ones that may come 2 times a month. But I know the ones that I see on the street when I'm walking to my car that needs the Lord. And I hear them cry. And I look at the church and say, what are we doing? Are we strong enough? Or are we too battle-worn that we can't do the work anymore? Are we too tired? Are our church mothers just our church mothers? Are they really whispering in our ear one more time? Baby, get out there and do what my legs can't do anymore. Go ahead and touch that person that my arms can't reach anymore. Get up under this hat and see what I've got going on. Are the deacons doing enough to pray them up? Are they touching the men that are coming out of an incarceration, that are struggling in an addiction, that are dealing with our young people who are in a world that they're constantly attacked? Because I am serious when I say this is an extinction level event that is taking place, and it started here in Washington. Every major city is having a gentrification issue, and where do we go? How far can they push us out? So I'm going to make a recommendation that we consistently pray. And we consistently plan. And we consistently study the Word of God. And consistently depend on Him. And be content that the plan He has for us is the plan that needs to be fulfilled in His time. Be content with the money you have. You're not going to lose your job because you spoke out because of the injustice that's taken place. You got a better job for you anyway, so maybe you need to get away from that one. Be content in your situation. If you are struggling right now, I'm not saying stay sick, but be content because God needs you to sit so He can talk to you about the next step. I'm speaking to myself now. Slow down. Understand that the Sabbath is just that. Time to focus on God. It's not game day. It's not catch up on your email day. It's not shut your babies up and send them to grandma's house day. It is to understand your time with God. Reflect and rejuvenate so that you can mount up on wings like eagles. So you can run and not be weary, so you can walk and not faint. And then you have to be confident. You have to be confident because every now and then we have a tendency to do what a lot of people say they don't do. They speak ill of it. But we've got to have some Holy Ghost swag. We got to understand who we serve. And we need to step out like it makes a difference. Like, oh, what you're looking at isn't what you used to see. Child, I was a burning hot mess. And I may look like that person, but I'm spanking brand new on the inside. You want that kind of cleansing? You want that kind of cleansing? You want that kind that doesn't have to worry about this mess anymore? That you're not worrying about whether there's going to be a war? Well, there's always going to be a war. There's a war going on right now, and there's a war for your soul. Then you have to decide if you are confident enough to pick up your sword and fight. So I ask you all, and I encourage you all, are you ready to fight? You've got the strength. You've got to find it. But I could tell you that you are stronger than your excuses.